All right, what's up, everybody? It's Marshall here, back from the Red Ink Rejects. I know, a long time no see, but we are officially back. We're going to be working on a fun little project that I've been working on for about a month now. 95 Taurus, 3.8 liter V6, big fat turbo. We're going to have some fun with this one, so let's get on into this, and I will update you on what we got going on. All right, so I'm just going to show you guys a little bit of what I'm doing here. So right now I'm currently working on replacing these two lines right here. They haven't broken yet, but oh boy, they are hard. So what I ended up doing is, like I said, I got some of the 6AN braided line right here. So what I ended up doing is I measured it up right here, made a little mark, and I cut it to size. And so what I did then is I took my little lighter and I burnt the edges, so that way they don't get all caught on stuff and look like garbage. And I got these nice little fuel line clamps from O'Reilly's and just slid them on there nice and clean like. And so now what I'll do is when I get these apart, I will just slip that in there, tighten those two clamps up, and it should hold just fine. Especially considering these are sandwiched together, it should help it hold in there. But you just want to make sure that you get it the exact right size, and the reason for that is this is the fuel pressure regulator right here. If this does not mount right back there, then you will have a hell of a time holding on to this thing. And also one of my supports for the turbo kit ends up going there as well. And as you can see, it's actually out of alignment quite a bit. So the fact that this is just a tiny bit shorter is actually going to end up helping with that specific issue right there. And what I'll end up doing when I go to tighten these up is I will grab a bolt and I will throw the bolt in there to hold it in place while I tighten those up, so that way they end up getting tightened in the exact right spot. Also, little word of advice for these. If you can, do not use the flathead slot. Try to use a socket. It will save you time, energy, and irritation, I promise. With that being said, I'm going to get the second one of these made, and we'll hopefully get those ones off and throw it on there, all right? All right, so I figured I'd go ahead and set you guys up on the tripod real quick and show you guys how I like doing this. So normally I would use my wife's box knife. However, she's not here. She's at work and using it, so I don't have that. But what I do have is a razor blade. So the simplest way to take these old hard lines off, get yourself a razor blade. Don't worry about nothing else. You're going to just go right up here to the middle. Here, take that plug off so you might be able to see a little bit better. You go right up here to that middle and you dig that thing in there and you just go. You just gotta dig it in there. Be careful not to cut yourselves, especially if you're using just a razor blade. I recommend getting a box knife. It's a much safer option and will not give you scars. But you're just gonna go along both sides just like this. Just gotta make sure you really dig that cutter in, because if you don't, it will not cut it. Once again, make sure you do not cut yourselves. It does not feel amazing. I have done it one too many times before. It's not amazing. Cut. There we go. Okay. So now, as you can see, these lines just kind of fall apart. They really, really just kind of fall apart. And then, so what you gotta do is you gotta do the other side as well, obviously. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. We're gonna cut this other side. Get it all nice and opened up as well. And when you're cutting it, you're going to want to go through it 3 or 4 times to make sure that you get all the way through on all the grooves. And like I have said a million times, do not cut yourself. It hurts a lot. And make sure when you are getting it in there, you get it in the exact same groove and don't cut 3 different grooves in the same piece of hose. It's a waste of time and annoying. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and get this, and you should literally be able to just break it off, just like that. And to get the excess off, you're just going to grab your little razor blade here, and you're just going to peel it off just like this. You might have missed a little bit in the back, so make sure you cut that as well, so that it will in fact release. Let's see if you can see that. Didn't quite cut it all the way back, so you just got to get it back in there again and just cut the rest. And then you're just going to use your razor blade or box knife or whatever you're using. You just got to pry it off. If you don't break your razor blade first. Thankfully, I have an entire box of these things. But you can also just grab a pair of pliers and just yank it off as well. Sometimes you'll get lucky and you can just use your fingers and just pull it apart. But these do tend to be a little bit of a pain in the ass. So just make sure that you get those cuts all the way through, because if you don't, it will not come off at all. You will be fighting it for 10 minutes. So, but with that being said, I'm going to turn the camera off, get a pair of pliers, get all this off, and then we'll come back when we go to reinstall. Alright, and like I said, we installed that bolt there to hold the pressure regulator in place. We got our clamps and our hoses on there. So now we will go ahead and tighten those down, make sure it all stays in place, and then we will move on to the next set of hoses and clamps. And yes, I know, I just got done saying, don't use a flathead on this stuff, but you see I'm lazy, so I'm going to use a flathead on it. If I can find my flathead screwdriver.
20 minutes later.
Okay, I lied. I went ahead and just grabbed my sockets. Why is that not magnetic? Odd. Very odd. It sticks to that. Interesting. Okay, well, I got my sockets, so we're going to go ahead and just use a socket on it if I can find the right size. That seems like it's it. And I'm going to put it on my T-handle, and we're just going to go ahead and tighten down these clamps like this. And get these things all nice and snugged up on here so we can move on to the next part of this project day. We want to get these super tight too. These are high pressure lines, and if they're not tight, you will not have a good day. Like I said, I'm not exactly the most convinced person in the world that this is going to fix the issue. In all honesty, it's probably going to leak. But I won't know until you try. So worst comes to worst, I'll have to rip it all back apart and fix it. But we will make sure the battery's on, and we will turn it on and see if it leaks before we put everything back together. Save us some time. These actually seem pretty tight now that they're all tightened down. We'll get these other two all tightened up, and then come back to you when we get this all finished up. Alrighty, so as you can see here, we got that line right there back on. We got those two lines back there fully tightened up. They're super sturdy after I tighten them all up. So now we will move on over here. And what I'm going to go ahead and do for my own safety, and just to make sure I don't ever have any problems, is that line right there loops over to that side. So we're going to go ahead and replace the clamps on that, clean up the hose, and do that right. So that way it doesn't come undone and, well, light me on fire. The one that we are going to have a real problem with is those two, because those go all the way under the car back to the gas tank, and that one right there is completely broke off. So I'm going to have to temporarily fix it the way that I don't want to fix it until I have the money and time and resources to redo that with all AN lines. But for now, it's just going to have to work, unfortunately. But with that being said, we'll get to work on that one right there. Alright, so I figured I didn't really show you guys how I'm making these lines very well, so clean that off. I'm going to show you how I'm doing this. So you're going to need a lot. Make sure, by the way, when you're doing this, and I'm just telling you this so that I cover my bases, do not do it when there's still fuel in the lines. You will not have a good time. But anyway, like I said, make sure you use this style clamp. It works so much better than those teeth kind. Those teeth always strip out when you try to get them super tight. These do not. Use these. They're not that expensive. You can get them cheaper online. I'm just lazy and don't like shopping online sometimes, so I have these ones. But with these, what we're going to do, as you can see, AN lines always, without failure, get these really frayed ends here. So what I like to do is just take a lighter, and I like to simply just clean them up a little bit, just like this. Don't overdo it, because you will start melting it too much, and then you'll have problems, and you'll have to recut it, and then it's just a mess. But what I like to do is I like to clean up the frayed ends at first, and just like that. And one thing that anyone uses a lighter, do not do it when there's still fuel in the line. See what I mean? Don't do it when there's fuel in the lines, because that will happen. Let's just get all the rest of the fuel out of these lines. I think we should be good now. Okay, anyway, you're just going to clean up these frayed ends just like this. And then what I like to do is when the lighter end is a little warm, put a little bit of heat, and then I'll just kind of use the end of the lighter and just kind of, little by little, just kind of roll it over. And what that does is it adheres it to the bottom and keeps it from fraying too badly again. Now, once again, this is something you got to kind of be careful. There's another one. Something you got to kind of be careful doing. Make sure that you don't overdo it, otherwise it will not be very clean and or efficient. And now we'll just do the other side the exact same way. And then we will install this on the car. Yeah, like I said, you just want just a little bit. You're just trying to clean up these ends and keep them from fraying too badly again. That's when you start to get problems. So, but yeah, and what I like to do is the end that ends up being dirtier. What I will do is I'll put both clamps on the cleaner end, so that way it just it works better, in all honesty. So we'll just kind of slip this clamp on, bring it all the way down there, and we will slip this clamp on as well. And there we go. Now you have your new replacement line completely done. Now we can go put it on the car. All right, I'm back here, so I'm just going to show you real quick. As you can see, we got this line all done here. That's looking beautiful. This one also came out really, really good. And all these clamps are holding really, really well. Like I said, I highly recommend using those. They're a lot stronger and a lot better. They don't strip out like this style right here. I hate these ones. So I'm going to start using these a whole lot more often. I like these. But yeah, with that being said, we'll get some stuff plugged back in, and we will hopefully be able to kick the fuel pump on, and we'll see if any of this leaks. I will set you guys up back on the tripod so you guys can yell at me if anything is squirting fuel everywhere. But if everything checks out good, I did just realize I'm actually going to take some of this back apart, because I meant to pull those injectors back there and check them out. I have not checked those yet. I did check all these, but I have not checked those. So I will have to do that real quick. And then I also, while the intake is off, I need to get that manifold off and do the spark plugs and re-gap them. Same thing with this. I got to do the spark plugs and re-gap those. But I will probably do all that off camera. If you don't know how to gap spark plugs and don't know how to install spark plugs, then go watch Junkyard Digs or Pole Barn Garage or watch Diesel Creek. They do a lot of that stuff. Shout out to them. I learn a lot of my stuff from them. It's kind of nice. They're really down-to-earth guys, and I like their content. But yeah, with that being said, we'll go ahead and finish this up. Like I said, I got to pop that off, clean those, and do the spark plugs. But then I will come back to you when all that work is done, and we will start talking about the turbo kit, because I'm on the fence about redoing it. Here, I'll actually bring you over here real quick. So over here, as you can see, we have what is affectionately the current turbo kit situation. So as you can see, that's the side that goes towards the firewall, that's the side that goes down towards the other side of the motor, and this is where the turbo bolts do. It's a nice little setup. I don't hate it. It's just not quite what I was hoping for, in all honesty. It works, but there's a lot of clearance issues and heat issues. That's why there's heat wrap on it there. So I'm really on the fence about redoing it. I like it. I'll probably use it for now, but I do want to redo it again eventually in the future. That charge pipe is obviously going to get redone in the future, but not right now. And then I also want to port that intake and port the heads on this thing, but that won't be for a little while. But yeah, I'm really on the fence about redoing it. I have some material that I could use to redo all of it, but it's a lot of work. That took me an entire night to build. So I'm on the fence. We'll probably just keep it as it is for now and play with it, but who knows? We'll maybe have some fun and redo it. All right, we're back here. So I did go ahead and get all this stuff buttoned up, and I already pressure tested it, and it pressure tested good. No leaks, no issues, none of that. We did end up having to replace, or I should say, used stuff to replace the stuff in here. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know if it's gonna seal. They don't quite fit right, but only time will tell. We'll know as soon as we go to fire this thing up. The O-rings seem to seal, so that should be all that really matters. I did have to drill out the cups that I have, because the cups that were on it were destroyed, and they have a bigger hole size than the cups that I had. So we drilled those out. Hopefully those will work fine. It should work. I did it on that side as well, because I had one on that side break. But with that being said, I now am going to loop this heater core together, because I believe the heater core is screwed up in this one. So we're going to go ahead and loop that heater core together. And then I think it's just time for reassembly. We'll start reassembling everything and get her running real quick. Make sure it runs good. Make sure it runs at all. And yeah, like I said, I'm still... actually, first I need to do the spark plugs and the... and I need to take that exhaust manifold off to do one of them. So, but other than that, I'm going to do that real quick. Other than that, we should... Keyword being should be good to start putting this thing back together, getting it all back, and stuff like that. And then we'll get to that exhaust situation. Like I said, I'm still on the fence about that. Don't quite know what I want to do. Part of me is honestly tempted to just cut it there and flip, but I don't think that'll work properly. So, but we'll kind of just play it by ear and figure it out as we go. Alright, so we got the intake manifold on, it's all torqued down, everything's looking good so far. It's actually cleaning up a lot better than I thought it was going to. Everything's kind of falling into place a little bit better. I'm getting everything away from where this is going to burn the shit out of it. So everything's looking good there. It's all falling into place. So, but with that being said, we got the exhaust manifold here, or the second half of it, I should say. And we'll get this thing plopped on there, get all the brackets on, get the intake on, hopefully fire it up soon. It'll be running tonight, that's for sure. I've done this a million times, so it's pretty easy to get these things running. But yeah, that's pretty much all we have left to do. I'm not going to do any more heat shielding because I don't feel like being itchy all day tomorrow, and I don't need to. None of this comes close to anything that I'm worried about, and we're not going to be heating this thing up enough for me to really care. So yeah, with that being said, we'll go ahead and get on into this and get this thing installed. So we're just getting the finishing touches done here on this exhaust. After we get this on, we will work on getting the turbo replumbed and bolted up onto here. And then after we get that done, then we can run the charge pipe and put the exhaust on and do all the other fun stuff, hook up vacuum lines, and we should be able to just fire it right up. It should fire up as long as there's no fuel leaks. I tested for all that later, as you saw, or earlier, as you saw. So we shouldn't have any fuel leaks. The only possible issue now is the injector's not sealing properly. There we go. The injector's not sealing properly, which if that's the case, honestly, I'll probably simply pushing this thing out and wait for some new injectors. I need to get bigger ones anyway. It's not that big of a deal. So yeah, with that being said, we'll go ahead and time lapse the last little bit of this and get it all done. Sorry for all the time lapses, but there's only so much you can say when doing stuff like this. So yeah, let's finish this thing up. Alright, so I'm currently, oh shit, the thing's heavy. Or, heavy? Tight. I'm currently getting ready to take the back housing off the turbo because I noticed some oil coming out of the exhaust adapter, and well, it is an eBay turbo, so if the oil seal's already shot, I wouldn't be surprised, but I even have the restrictor for the oil on it, so it shouldn't have overpressurized. But if this seal just really already went out, then I will be a little disappointed. But at the same time, it's been really cold here, and sometimes if, you know, a seal gets dry or whatever, you know, it can just kind of happen. But we'll get this back housing off, take a look, see what we see. Who knows, maybe it's just coming from the engine or something. Wouldn't surprise me. The engine's got 205,000 miles on it. But yeah, we'll get this open and see what's in here. Well, I can't say that I'm surprised, but I'm definitely confused. This is a brand new turbo that I literally just bought. Now, granted, it's an eBay turbo. However, it was just fine. I wasn't having any major issues with it yet. But it appears that the oil seal might already be blown, which is really odd considering I actually have, like if you look here, I have the right restrictor on it. So I don't think it would have blown it out. My guess would be the cold weather shot caused it to become shot. There's no oil coming out of the front, so the front one's fine. And it could also just be residual from the motor. I mean, it could be pushing some oil past the rings with all the boost that I'm pushing through the stock motor. Very possible as well. But yeah, we'll dig into this a little bit further and see what we see. Ooh, almost fucking dropped that. That would have been fun to catch on camera. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and tear this apart a little bit more and see what we can see. Odds are, seal's probably already blown. So, we're probably still gonna run it because we're stupid. Yeah.
Alright guys, so right now we are tightening up the housing back on. We got the oil return line back on. So once we get this all back on, we should be starting up in hopefully half an hour to an hour, maybe.
For you, it'll be about 5 seconds.
Yeah, for you, it'll be about 5 seconds, but it's a bit annoying. This car's a bit annoying, but it'll be fun. So we'll go ahead and catch you once this thing is fully attached and on. Alright guys, we are back now. We have the turbo completely on the mount here. We're currently hooking up the oil lines, which is almost on. And then we're going to go ahead and go back the time lapse so we can get the charge pipe back on, which then goes into here, which you should know. So, yeah, see you in the time lapse.
Well, she's back together. This is one of those projects where it'll beat the living crap out of you every single step of the way. But once it's done, it's totally worth it. But in the process of making it worth it, it's a mother. So, but it's back together now. My ghetto-ass charge pipe is done, and the ghetto exhaust is back on. So we're going to see if it fires up. Odds are it's going to leak like a motherfucker out of the injectors, but we'll see what happens. Make sure you're standby with the fire extinguisher that's over there, and put that down here, and grab your phone and get a light so we can make sure that it's not leaking fuel everywhere.
Okay.
Check around for a fuel leak real quick. Ready?
Okay.
Alright. Ready?
Yep.
Are you recording? It's still misfiring a little bit, but nowhere near as bad as it was.
1, go. A little bit low on fuel.
Alright, we are going to head down to the gas station real quick. Do not try this at home, kids. But we got to throw some gas in this old girl. I think that's why it's having some problems. No.
Idling pretty good now.
She runs good when she's up there. There's the third. She's running good. She's actually running rich, which is impressive for 15-pound injectors. I need to get some 19 or 20s in this thing. But I'm afraid it's going to run too rich with those. I got to get the show dash too so we can go up to 140 mile an hour instead of just 85. I mean, I know it'll go faster, but I also don't want to break a perfectly good speedometer. It'll break this needle right off. Oh yeah, she's running good.
Sounds great too. Nice whistle.
Nice fumes right into the cab, you know? Gotta love it. I gotta roll your window down. Otherwise we're gonna suffocate in it. As I said, guys, do not do this at home with a freshly built car. It is not safe. We are professionals at this shit at this point. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and fuel up at the gas station. We'll catch you guys when we're all done with that. Alright, just got some fuel. We're gonna head on out of here. She's actually running relatively good. I'm actually really impressed so far. Now we just gotta get through Mexico. Gotta get through Mexico. That's all.
What would you say is the most annoying part about working on this car?
The tight space. She's making some noise. She's running good. I just can't floor it because I don't have a wastegate yet. Once I get a wastegate though, whoo boy, she gonna sing.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get some good.
And it's not smoking, so I think that oil seal sealed back up.
We're gonna get some good flybys once we get that wastegate. Man, we love California traffic.
Yeah, tell me about it. And we live in what used to be a small town. I'm gonna call this thing the Hellcat Eater once it's done. No longer the green car. Maybe the Hellcat Eater. Gotta get that trans service done, get the wastegate on, and she'll be cherry. Oh my god, could y'all hurry up? Alright, we'll do one more little baby pull down the street. In all honesty, I would love to floor this thing and see what happens, but I know better. And I know this motor will blow right the fuck up.
How responsive is the throttle?
Oh, I could smack it open and it would fly right now. If I had a wastegate, I could smack it and we'd be gone. We'd be gone. It'd be spinning tires. She runs good, dude.
And it sounds like it almost sounds like a diesel.
She runs good.
It smells better too.
And it's not even hot. We're gonna do one more little test rip in her, and we'll meet you guys back at the house. I don't want you guys to see this one. All right, guys. So I forgot to record an outro, but we're gonna do that right now. Green car is a success so far. All we gotta do is get a wastegate and get some injectors for it. Once we do that, then she should be set for a good long time. As long as nothing melts, nothing burns, nothing lights on fire, we should be set on that car for a good long time. The whole point of it is to be a sleeper, although I'm contemplating cutting a hole in the hood. But we'll get to that when we get to that. But yeah, in the next video, you're going to see a tutorial on how to install a clutch and flywheel onto a 2.3 Ford. And then the video after that is going to be introducing the new Project Mercy. And I'll give you guys just a little sneak peek as to what we ended up choosing as the new chassis. But, yeah, Project Mercy, if you guys don't know, is the red car, which you guys have seen in previous videos of turboing a Alfa Romeo. Yeah, long story short, I got in an accident. We're not doing an Alfa Romeo anymore.
So a bit of background information. So we had bought a brand new Alfa Romeo, and that's the car that got in the car crash.
We are now going to be doing a Ford. So, yeah. We'll see you guys in the next video. I hope you guys have a good day, good night, good morning, whatever it is for you. And we'll see you guys all later. Peace the fuck out.